On one fine afternoon, quite recently, I was scrolling a Discord server that I'm in that's dedicated to reading, and I saw someone post this. Upon further inspection, I saw that it was a screenshot of someone saying that they loved going to bookstores and looking at the backs of romance novels. They stumbled upon this book and thought that it sounded insane. Let's read it, shall we? Once guilty of the deadly sin of gluttony, 1,000-year-old Viking vampire angel Newt Sigurdsson is now a lean, mean vampire devil fighting machine. His new side job? No biggie, just ridding the world of a threat called ISIS while keeping the evil Lucifers, demon vampires, at bay. So when Chef Andrea Stewart hires him to rescue her sister from a cult recruiting terrorists at a Montana dude ranch, Vangel turns cowboy. Yeehaw! The too tempting mortal insists on accompanying him, surprising Newt with her bravery at every turn. But with terrorists stalking the ranch in demonoid form, Newt teletransports Andrea and himself out of danger, accidentally into the 10th century Norselands. Suddenly, they have to find their way back to the future to save her family and the world, and to satisfy their insatiable attraction. So the person from the Discord server posted this screenshot and said, I'm definitely not going to read it, but I'd be interested to know someone's thoughts if they did. Well, immediately I fell on the sword and was like, for sure, I will read this book for science and I will report back. So we did a little bit of research and someone else in the Discord server very kindly supplied me with the name of this book, and we found out that it was in fact the 7th book in a series. My brain was rushing around. I was like, okay, well, how bad could it be? Maybe I could just read the whole series and do a reading vlog of the whole series and it would be so much fun and so silly. Came down from that cloud real quick, I'll tell you that. One of my friends from the Discord server told me to love myself, and I am very glad that I in fact did. I decided to search around online for a trusty blogger and read some plot descriptions of what the other books were, just so I was up to date with all of the lore that goes on in these books, so I was not confused when things happened. So this wonderful human of fantastic fiction created a blog detailing all of the points of every single book in this 9-book series. I am so glad that I ended up doing this instead of reading approximately 2,000 pages of the other books in this series. So let me just speed run some of this backstory and lore so that we're both on the same page. Okay, so there are 7 Norse brothers who exist in the year of our Lord 850, which is the 9th century. Apparently, God was mad at them for worshiping false gods, aka Thor and Odin, so he decided to send down Michael, the archangel, to punish each of them for their crimes of committing one of the 7 deadly sins. They are each conscripted to 500 years of pious service under Archangel Michael as Viking vampire angels, aka Vangels. Part of the deal, though, is that they are not allowed to have premarital sex or engage in any other sins. If they do so, more time is added onto their service. Their goal, essentially, is to fight the bad guy, which is Jasper, aka Lucifer's main dude, and all of his vampire demons called the Lucifers. They essentially consume human souls at their most sinful moments and tend to use debaucherous locations as major feeding grounds. There is a double agent, though, and he is a Lucifer named Zebulon, or Zeb, but he wants to become a Vangel. That's information that will be important later on. In general, the series follows this group of 7 brothers as they're sentenced to Vangeldom due to their respective sins that they commit on Earth, and their love interest comes in and essentially is the antithesis to whatever that sin is. So in this video, we will be following the brother Newt, and he is the glutton, and his story is of him falling in love with a pastry chef. So, now that you're caught up, promise you don't have to think about it too hard, let's just get to reading. Okay, now that we've briefed ourselves on the deep, rich history of Vangels, let's get into the book. The Angel Wore Fangs by Miss Sandra Hill. Okay, so the prologue, we're starting off strong with a Viking feast menu, and then the first line of actual text underneath a like heading that says, "Weight Watchers, where art thou? ... Okay, so his name is Cnut. I think I read that it was pronounced Knut. So yeah, Knut Sigurdsson. Okay, I'm just gonna read the first this chunk of text because it's actually crazy, and I think it's telling me all there is to know about the situation that's gonna happen in this book. Knut Sigurdsson was a big man. A really big man. Exclamation point. He was taller than the average man. Of course, being a Viking. But more than that, he was, well, truth to tell, fat. So, as we remember, all of the 7 brothers have 7 sins, and Knut's is gluttony. So, we'll see what he gets punished with. So, we're literally on page 2, and it's already interesting. The thing that they keep mentioning is that Knut does not care about his size. He does not care that he's fat. He is a body positivity king. Everyone keeps making fun of him, and he's like, I don't care. So good for him, I guess. Yeah, anyways, I'm just gonna sink into this and give you guys a bit of an update in a bit once maybe one thing happens. We shall see. Okay, so we're getting heavy-handed exposition in this part. Basically, we find out that Knut is like a lord or landowner or like the wealthiest person in his little town, and everyone else is like starving to death basically because there's a drought and he won't share any of his food. So Saint Michael the Archangel, who we were talking about before, is like, okay, you can either be a vangel in God's army for 700 years or rot in hell. Your choice. Okay, so chapter 1. The first word of the first chapter is ISIS. She's on the phone and she goes, ISIS? Why would anyone in her right mind join that militant group? What? Apparently she's talking to her stepmother and she goes, how do I know why your sister does the things she does? All I know is that I have a picture in front of me and she's wearing some kind of robe that covers her head to toe with only her eyes peeking out. A burqa? And then the stepmom says, they look like tents if you ask me. I get a hot flash just thinking about how uncomfortable they must be in this heat. Thank God I'm not an Arab. They did a dash between the A and the R-A-B just so you know that she's pronouncing it Arab, just in case you were wondering. Our main character, our girl main character, is named Andrea, and she hates her stepmother, whose name is Darla. So apparently the sister is known for getting involved in cults. She's always doing something new, just doing a bunch of random crazy things. And she's dating someone, and he talked her into going with him to a dude ranch in Montana. So the condensed version is she's talking to her boss because she's at work right now on this call. She says Celie that's the sister, has joined a cult on a dude ranch in Montana that has ties to ISIS and claims that she's gone all Sharia, complete with burqa, mainlining the usual extremist Muslim propaganda. Though, how she would ride a horse in a robe, I have no idea. I didn't even know Celie could ride a horse. And yeah, before you ask, isn't it strange that a terrorist organization would recruit from a dude ranch? Better that than the mall, I suppose. Bottom line, as usual, when it involves my sister, Darla probably wants me to fix things. And then the boss is like, what does she expect you to do? And Andrew's just like, I don't know. This book, it's like drinking from a fire hose. I can really only take so much at a time. I've only gotten 30 pages in and I'm just like, oh my god. Okay, yeah. So now they're back at the Vangel headquarters, which is in Transylvania, Pennsylvania. The oldest brother, I think he's probably gonna say something along the lines of like, okay everyone, we got a tip and we gotta go to this dude farm in Montana because there's a lot of people that are about to be turned into lucifers because Satan is there clenching everyone and their mama They're all sinners, whatever. I'm gonna just read as much as I physically can before I go to bed. It's only 9 p.m. I'm already tired and this book is not necessarily helping to keep me awake. But I will check back with y'all tomorrow morning. Okay, so I'm a liar, and it has not just been since last night. I forgot where we left off, to be honest, because it's been almost a week since I've spoken to you. Remember when I said before that reading this book is like drinking from a fire hose and I can only do so much at a time? Yeah, that's really truly how I feel. I haven't gotten that much farther in the book because it is truly painful to read, but I'm doing this for science, so we must forge forward. I just wanted to give you some quotes of things that I have read since I last spoke to you. Pretty much nothing in the plot has happened because, again, I have not really gotten that far. They finally met. Basically, she went into his office, which is like, he's like a security, like terrorism, whatever office, which you can't be like a freelance anti-terrorist organization to my knowledge, but whatever. Basically, because her younger sister fucked off to Montana to a dude ranch. Anyways, they've met. It was kind of like she immediately thought he was super hot and he was like, hold on, what did he say? So she came from work and his first thought of her was, even with the chef jacket hiding her assets, that Andrea Stewart was one of those skinny women with no breasts to speak of, probably anorexic, which made it doubly odd that he would be attracted to her. Excuse me? Also, she said newt, like a newt lizard. So maybe that's how you say his name, not Knut. Kind of like how we have K-N-I-G-H-T for night and you don't pronounce the K. For the C, I don't know if you pronounce it. So I'm just gonna call him Newt from now on. Yeah, so it's pretty awful. Anyways, so they finally meet and he's like, yeah, wow, even though she's built like a board, I still find her hot. How weird. And she's like, wow, he's built like a Viking and he's super hot. Whatever. She hires him to go after the sister and she's like, I'm coming with you on this trip. And he's like, you cannot come with me. And she somehow finagles her way into coming with him, but only after he breaks into her apartment the night after they met and was like, I'll take the job. I will officially take the job, because he left the meeting being like, I don't know, we'll see. This is ISIS we're talking about. This is pretty serious. So he breaks into her apartment later that day and goes, okay, yeah, for sure, I'll take the job. And when he is at the apartment, are you hungry? She asked. I'm always hungry, he replied. Is there a double entendre here? Is he implying that, no, this guy is just too sizzling hot. His hotness is giving me the wrong ideas. Very wrong. Look at him, licking the chocolate off his fingers. Be still, my heart, ... And other places. Yikes. Like, are you kidding me right now? The narration style of this book is absolutely mind-boggling. So anyways, he agrees to do this whole ISIS mission, and she somehow forces herself onto the mission, and he's not bringing a team, it's just them two breaking in, kind of like pretending to be interested in visiting this dude ranch or whatever. And on the plane, she's like freaking out because she has a fear of flying. So what does he do? The only thing he could to distract Andrea. He kissed her. They've known each other for like a few days, which is fine. Like, people kiss after they meet after a few minutes or hours. Like, it doesn't really matter. I don't care. But like, there's no buildup. There's no buildup at all. They've had like 2.5 conversations. And he was like, well, it wasn't the only thing he could think of, but the only thing that wouldn't get him arrested. No big Viking deal, right? Wrong. Newt felt as if he had fallen off the highest cliff. First, there was the shock, lips touching lips, then the incredible sense of floating through the air like a feather on an erotic wind current as she breathed into his mouth and he breathed back. It's insane. It's really insane. Yeah, I'm on page 90. I'm 25% of the way through the book. I will continue to give you updates as I read, but this is taking me a lot longer than I thought. I thought I was just gonna be able to bang this out in like a day or two, but it's really painful to read. I can't lie. The writing is genuinely worse than I thought. We are working with what we have got. Okay, yes, I know I look insane. I'm 40% of the way through the book. Essentially, what has happened is they got to the dude ranch and there was a bunch of lucifiers there, and she was like, oh no, this actually might be dangerous. Girl, did you not think ISIS was gonna be dangerous? Anyway, Newt basically whipped her up and teletransported her back to a different time. So we're time traveling now, just in case you're not keeping up. We time traveled to when the dude ranch that they were staying at was like someone's home, and then she was like, what the heck? Where are we? He's like, it's really like, when are we? Kind of thing. And then she was like, oh, no, we need to get back. My sister. And then he tried to teletransport again, even though he's never done it with a human before, so she's messing everything up. And then he teletransports them back to the motherfucking Norse lands in like 800 something AD, I think he said. So he's back in his home 1 month after he was technically turned into a Vangel. So like in that same timeline, it's 1 month later. So now, basically he's trying to help fix the problems that he started back in this timeline, which is basically the fact that his entire town is going through a famine and he was a glutton. So now he's atoning for this, I guess. But that's about the long and short of it at the moment. So I will update you when more things have happened. But yeah, I just wanted to throw in the mix that time travel is now an element of this, just in case you were worried that it wasn't crazy enough. Can't wait till we get to interact with ISIS later on. Okay, I haven't even gotten to a full-on sex scene yet, but the way that any kind of sexual anything is described is truly awful, heinous, disgusting. He walks into his bed chamber or whatever, and she's already there sleeping because he's been dealing with stuff all day because he's the lord or the jarl of the f***ing whatever, and he sees her in the bed, and then in his head this is blood drained from his head and heat sizzled across his skin from his scalp to the tips of his fingers and the ends of his curled toes. Between his legs, his balls shifted and his staff seemed to yawn and stretch and come to life. If cocks could smile, his was doing a happy dance of anticipation. Excuse me? He was no longer tired. He was energized, as if he'd just mainlined Red Bull or testosterone. Like he needed any more of that. Wow. Okay. Awesome. Great. I just need to finish this book so this hell can be over. Please. I want this to be over so bad. Looks like I ended this little clip too early because then what did he do? He jerked off. He was like, well, there's only one way to solve this. Was it a sin? Yes, but not nearly as sinful as what his body really wanted. And he's just looking at her in his bed, jerking off. And the way that it's described is the whole time he watched Andrea stroke, 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 stroke. I'm currently reading a middle-aged woman describing a man watching a woman in his bed while jerking himself off. That was not on my bingo card for this book. I can't lie to you. What the fuck? Hello everyone, I'm back. I'm on page 290. I'm like 72% of the way through the book. So close. I really want to finish it today. The writing is not good. Let me tell you what's happened in the plot since the last time that I talked to you. Nothing. Literally nothing. We've officially had our first sex scene, which unfortunately I was reading in public, so that was terrifying. I just was like, I need to keep reading this book. I need to just get through it. And I was just like on the train, like pulling faces. Like the way that she describes things is horrifying, like genuinely horrifying. I'm just gonna read you a couple of quotes of like things that have happened and things that I've noted that were just like really awful, and like the way that it is written is just like makes my skin want to crawl off my body. So first of all, the way that their like attraction comes about is really sudden because apparently they're life mates or whatever. I discovered that the other day. She smells very strongly of coconuts to him, and he smells very strongly of peppermint to her, so she keeps making jokes about like a peppermint and coconut cake or like recipe that she really wants to try out, and that he always like makes her feel very tingly, and she always makes different kinds of jokes about that in her head. Anyway, their relationship kind of went from 0 to 100 essentially because she was always kind of like saying weird shit. But anyways, now that she'd noticed their joined hands, she became intensely aware of the sensations there. The pulse at her wrist beat at a counterpoint with his. His thumb unconsciously stroked her thumb, and she tingled. Oh my goodness. Like ripples, the tingles started where their skin touched and went out in long, slow waves to other parts of her body. Her breasts seemed to swell, and the nipples engorged. Between her legs, there was a rhythmic pulse, matching that at her wrist. Like, what the f*** are you talking about? Why would you say it like that? Yeah, there's just, the whole sex scene was just like absolutely horrifying to read, but I'm gonna read more of it. I might have to bleep some of this. I don't really know what the rules are on YouTube. Anyways, she was a tingly mass of beating cells that were passing over her body in waves. She closed her eyes and arched upward. She might have moaned. Newt used that opportunity to lift her knees and press them upward, opening her to the sudden plunge of him, hard and big and smooth, into her body. He filled her, and she welcomed him with repeated clasps of her inner muscles that moved and shifted to accommodate his size. Her clitoris felt wide open and vulnerable when he drew back and thrust in again, hitting her in precisely the right spot. If I'm not mistaken, the clitoris is not something that can open and close, but that's just me. Maybe I don't know anything. And then that preliminary orgasm stretched her inner walls and allowed him to enter her even more deeply. So far, she swore her womb shifted. Okay. And then at the end, by then, she was a spasming mass of moaning wanton want. And then there's just a bunch of really like sexist things that him and or the Vikings were saying. So like right after sex, they started having a conversation, and then in his head he went, uh-oh, just like a woman, one tup, and she is making plans. And then there's another moment where he's talking to his shitty friends and he goes, best you look elsewhere. Women are like swords. You can always find a better one. And just like the way that everything is described is just like gross. Like why? Because apparently there are women lucifers, and the way that lucifers look is just like very tall, giant, scaly, tail, fangs, whatever, the whole lot. Like what you would imagine Satan to look like. Essentially, that's what these demons look like. And in his head he went, and one might ask how I knew it was female? Ah, think breasts. Scaly breasts with red nipples the size of cherries. Can anyone say, honey, I have a headache? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? What the fuck does that even mean? I don't know. I really don't understand. Just, there's so many things that are just like, why would you say that? Why would you say it like that too? Guys, it's really bad. There's no plot. ISIS? Who's ISIS? They were just a whisper in the book plot for 5 seconds. That's not even a problem anymore. The whole point was that she was gonna save her sister from ISIS. What have we been doing? Baking and cooking in the past in the Northlands, because they accidentally got teletransported there because apparently he's supposed to like fix his town from famine. He's supposed to save them from famine because that was his sin, that he was too gluttonous, that he was turning his town to famine and he was gonna kill them all because he didn't care about them and he was just eating them out of house and home sort of thing. So that's literally all they've been doing. And he got like a message that was like, oh yeah, by the way, like Andrea's sister is fine, don't worry about it. And now she's there in the past, like doing sourdough starter, and that's it, and you're just chilling and you're fine. Apparently her sister's okay. I'm so confused. There's no fucking plot and it's just bad. We're just back in the Northlands, chilling. The idea of cowboys is thrown out the window. ISIS is thrown out the window. Saving her sister is thrown out the window. Now they're stuck in the Northlands, back in time, trying to feed everyone and make sure that everyone is fed. That's literally all they've been doing. And fucking, that's it. And the writing is terrible. So that's what's on the inside of this fucking book, just in case you were wondering. I need to finish this book today because I can't fucking do this anymore. Okay, so long story short, Andrea was in danger for all of 2.5 seconds. She got transported back to her apartment. Her sister was there. Everyone was fine. And she turned on the news and like a bunch of ISIS groups were getting raided and broken up, and like the ranch in Montana was on the news, and that was it. That's the only mention of ISIS of the whole fucking book. That's it. Literally there was no conflict throughout the entire thing except whatever shit is going on in the background. And then what? For 1 page, she had no idea where Newt was and was like, oh no, is he dead? Is he in hell? Is he whatever? No, he was fine. He ended up getting taken to Zeb's like secret fucking house that he has in the Bahamas or something, and then basically was like, okay, you're free to go. Like you can just go. Then Newt went back to Transylvania, Pennsylvania, right when Andrea got there, and then they met up, and then they were married 2 weeks later. So basically that means that she's gonna be tied to him because they're life mates, so she's gonna live as long as he does, which might be like 1,000 more years or something, which is crazy. Finished the book. Finally! Oh my god. What the hell? They're not good. I mean, I've only read this one, but it's not good. Definitely don't recommend reading. I wish that I could tell you that this book had a plot, but it literally does not. Isis was nowhere to be found. It was literally just her in the Northlands in 850 making recipes. And that's literally it. That was what they were doing the whole time. Just like chilling in the Northlands, making recipes. That's it. Her sister was fine the whole time. She got saved in 5 seconds, and they didn't even have to fight very many Lucifers. So really, truly, nothing happened. The blurb on the back was more exciting than the whole fucking book put together. So yeah, that's my final verdict. I'm gonna give it 1 star. Thanks so much for coming on this journey with me, and honestly, this has inspired me more than anything else that I could write a book and it could be published, because what the fuck was that? Like, actually, what the fuck was that? And she wrote 8 fucking books. 9. She wrote a Christmas novella as well. Anyways, that's all. That's all for me, guys. I'm signing off. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, I'm sending you all my love because we're all just trying our best out here, including Miss Sandra Hill, I guess, but Jesus Christ. Anyways, bye.